You're 16 years old, standing in your mother's driveway, sanding the Civic where you backed it into the mailbox. 2 decades later, a car you shaped by hand crosses an auction block for $1.1 million. Between those 2 mornings sits a check that almost every driver in America has written. The collision deductible is $500. The repair behind it now averages $4,730. Tonight, the scuff comes out under your thumb, and nobody pays anybody anything. Your hands will do the same 3 things for the next 20 years. You sand the panel down to bare metal. You shape the dent back to true. You spray the color and walk away. What changes is only who gets to write the check at the end. This is every level of auto body work in America, and what it actually costs a pair of hands to climb it. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1. The driveway. A body shop wants $500 to $1,000 to repaint one bumper cover. Your family's deductible is $500, so the insurance company is no help at all. The job goes to you, 1 aerosol can, and a repair video paused halfway through a sentence. You wash the panel twice, because grease under primer shows through everything that comes after it. Then you scuff it back. 320 grit on a foam block, worked until the paint edge feathers away to nothing under your thumbnail. You mask the fender with blue tape and yesterday's newspaper, then tuck the edge in tight. Primer goes on in 3 light passes. Between each one you stand out in the cold and let it flash. Flash is the weight, the solvent leaving the film before the next coat can trap it. You don't wait long enough on the clear. It runs, 1 thin sag right under the plate light. The whole panel gets sanded back the next morning. You fill the bucket, you soap the water, you flood the panel, you cut the run flat. 1500 grit, wet, with a garden hose running off the curb. Then compound on a folded rag, worked by hand, until the reflection finally goes straight. The top edge still has orange peel, the pebbled texture that means the paint never flowed out. The driver's door has a ding, so you buy a hot glue puller kit online for $30. The kit yanks the dent most of the way and leaves a high spot, metal pushed out past flush. You tap it down with a screwdriver handle wrapped in a shop rag. The panel goes flat again. Then it is quiet. Your mother comes out, looks at it from arm's length, and says she can barely see it. The $500 stays in her account, and the whole repair cost 1 can, 1 sheet of paper, and a Saturday afternoon. You start checking the reflections in other people's fenders at every red light in town. What a driveway cannot fix is structure. You cannot pull a bent frame with a garden hose or bake a clear coat in an unheated garage in February. The tools that do that live inside a building with a booth, a compressor, and a name painted on the sign out front. Level 2 is where you go to sweep its floor. Level 2. The wash bay. You are 18, your name stitched onto a shop uniform, and you make about $15 an hour. A porter posting across town pays $20 an hour. You keep that printout folded in your locker. Every wreck arrives on a tow truck, and you photograph it before anyone touches it. Then you wash it, because the estimator cannot find hidden damage under road film and brake dust. Teardown comes next. The shop calls it blueprinting, pulling a car apart until the real estimate is visible. You bag and tag the interior. A phone charger, a booster seat, a dog leash. You write the plate number on the bag, then go back to the panel line. You scuff the replacement panels. You prime them. You block them flat with a DA sander until the surface goes even under your palm. Body filler, mud in the shop's language, kicks off sweet and chemical while you spread it. You mask a hood badly one morning and overspray lands across the windshield. The painter hands you a razor blade and you spend your lunch scraping glass. Nobody mentions it again. A comeback is a car that returns for a defect, and the shop eats it. No labor, no parts, no argument. Your whole job is making sure the comeback is never yours. A young technician named Joshua Meza came up exactly this way, out of a college collision program in Allen, Texas. He says he climbed the ranks from apprentice to technician in a short period of time because of his skills. That climb is possible because nobody has enough people. Training programs fill just 42% of the collision technicians this industry needs every year. When the Collision Repair Education Foundation surveyed the trade, 675 collision businesses answered, and not one of them said it had enough hands. Your first check clears on a Friday and you cash it at the grocery store. Nobody says a word about your prep work all week, and the silence is the compliment. You start knowing which panel the technician wants before he turns around to ask. Then a foreman puts a hammer and a dolly in your hand and points you at a dented door skin. Level 3 is where they stop calling you the kid. Level 3. The body tech. The median for this whole trade is $51,680 a year. You are paid flat rate, which means the estimate sets your wage, not the clock. Beat the book time and you eat. Miss it and the hours simply evaporate off the sheet. The estimate has a language of its own, R and R versus R and I. Replace the part, or just remove it and put the same one back. A collision technician named Colby Wilder works at a body shop in Guthrie, Oklahoma. He says he comes to work wanting to be better than yesterday, or faster at working on a car. That is the whole religion of flat rate, said out loud. Your toolbox is a roller cabinet paid off weekly, and it cost more than your first vehicle did. The car in your stall hit a guardrail at an angle, and the quarter panel is folded over like a napkin. You winch it onto the frame rack. You chain the pinch welds down, you set the towers, you drop the measuring arm, and you wait. The system hangs underneath and reads the car against factory dimensions. 3 control points come back red. You set the first pull at the rear rail and take tension slowly, 1 click at a time. 2 points walk into green, 1 does not. You reset the clamp, change the angle of the chain, and the rack groans under load. The 3rd point lands green on the 2nd attempt. You stand there a lot longer than you need to. Then the cutting starts. You break the factory seams with a spot weld cutter, lift the old quarter off the shell, and grind every flange back to bright steel. The new panel gets clamped, tacked, checked for gap, then welded. You stitch the wire-fed MIG bead, moving around the panel so the heat never sits in one place, and warps it. You metal finish the weld, skim it with filler, and block it until light bends straight across the seam. The car goes out clean. It comes back with a wind noise at highway speed. You pull the trim and find a seam you sealed short by the width of your thumb. That is a comeback with your name on it, and you fix that one on your own time. The noise is gone, and the lesson goes into your hands and never leaves them again. Then you sit for the ASEB 2 through B5 exams, the 4 tests that make you a master collision technician. You retest every 5 years for the rest of your working life. Meanwhile, the shop bills your labor at $85 an hour. The insurance company's direct repair agreement pays $43 an hour. You start reading the estimate before you even look at the car. The gap between those 2 rates is the argument this whole industry runs on, and nobody standing in a stall with a welder in his hand has ever won it. So the good technicians walk across the shop and take the one job an insurer cannot discount. Level 4 is in the booth. Level 4. The booth. An experienced collision painter makes $60,000 to $75,000 a year. You are the only person in this building the customer can actually grade. Everything before you is structure that nobody will ever see again. You pull the paint coat off the door jamb and mix the formula on a scale. To the gram. Waterborne basecoat because solvent got regulated out from under you. The EPA autobody rule rewrote what a shop can legally spray back in 2008. Basecoat has to come in under 3.5 pounds per gallon. And the chemistry you were taught has already been replaced twice. You shoot a spray-out card first and carry it out into daylight. It is close, it is not right. Silver has 100 versions of itself depending on how the metallic lays down. A lead painter named Brian Anger works at a collision shop in Frederick County, Virginia. 17 years on the gun, most of it with water-based product. He says matching a new color tends to be a chore because there are so many variations out there. You tint the mix and shoot a second card, and this one disappears against the fender. The car gets tacked, then sealed, then based in light coats through an HVLP gun inside a downdraft booth. You blend the new color out into the doors, fading it so that no edge ever announces itself. You move too fast across the passenger door and the metallic models, tiger-striped under the booth lights. That panel gets shot again before the clear goes on, and it costs you an afternoon of flat rate. Then clear, then bake, then the long wait while the heat cycles back down. In the morning, you cut one piece of dirt out of the clear and buff that spot back to gloss. You stop trusting the booth lights and walk every car outside before you sign it off. Under the sun, the blend is invisible, and the customer runs a hand down the fender without ever finding the repair. That is the whole job, right there. Word gets around, and the shop starts handing you the fleet whites, the luxury blacks, and every hard silver nobody else in the building will touch. Then a car rolls in with a camera mounted behind the windshield. Level 5 is the technician who knows what to do with it. Level 5. The Specialist. The top of this trade pays $80,380 a year. That is less than the responsibility warrants, and more than anyone back in the wash bay believes. The work moved out from under everybody. Bumper covers carry radar now, windshields carry cameras, and aluminum truck beds need their own bay and their own welder. A master technician named Andrew Selesky works at a collision center in Syracuse, New York. He holds the highest individual training rating there is in all 9 roles. He says that in his newer work on electric cars, he has to know how to aim radar sensors and cameras, so you learn to aim them. A car comes in for a bumper replacement. The factory procedure says the front radar needs a static ADAS calibration afterward. You clear the bay, you check the floor is level, and you kill the overhead glare. The rig rolls in. Targets go up at the exact distances the manufacturer specifies, measured off the center line of the car. You set the first target a hair low, and the routine fails on the scan tool. You remeasure, you reshoot, and it passes on the second run. Then a road test for the dynamic portion, and a post-scan to confirm nothing is left sitting in memory. Screenshots of every single step for the insurer. That documentation is the job now. A calibration bills $300 to $800. You bill $800. The shop that sublets it out pays $200 to somebody else, so the owner buys the equipment on your recommendation, and it pays for itself before the year turns over. The average repair now finishes above $4,730, and the electronics bolted to the front of every car are the reason why. You write a supplement for hidden damage behind the reinforcement bar, and the adjuster approves it on the first phone call. You stop letting anyone else park in your bay. The certifications on that wall carry your name, and the shop's manufacturer status now depends on you staying current. Level 6 is what happens when you stop working for a shop at all. Level 6. The Builder. You own the building now, or you own a car nobody else on earth could have built. Both roads run out through the same door. Dave Kindig runs a custom shop out of Salt Lake City, Utah. His crew built the car that won the Ridler Award, the top prize in all of custom building. He says his equipment has paid for itself 100 times over, just with the carbon filtration system on his big booth. The Ridler pays $10,000. The cars that win it cost up to $2.3 million to build, so the prize was never really the point. Your own build sits on an English wheel for most of a year, while you roll a quarter panel out of flat sheet by hand. The gaps close down to the width of a business card. The paint gets cut and buffed until the reflection runs unbroken from the headlight to the tail lamp. It rolls onto an auction block in Scottsdale, under lights hot enough to feel on your face. The bidding stalls, jumps, and then stalls again. The hammer falls at $1.1 million. The other road is quieter and it pays just as well. The largest chain in the country finished last year with 1,863 shops. Another group bought 258 shops in one single transaction for $1.3 billion. Every one of those shops had an owner who signed a paper and walked out with 30 years of value in his hand. You stop pricing your own labor by the hour. 2 of your technicians already make more than you did at their age. Neither of them has ever bagged a stranger's belongings out of a totaled car. One question is left, and it is not about the money at all. Here is what the latter actually paid you, and it was never the wage. Every rung from the wash bay to the calibration bay tops out inside a range the insurer sets. $85 an hour on the shop door, $43 an hour on the agreement. The insurance company is the real customer, even when the driver signs the check. The only 2 moves that ever break that ceiling are owning the building and owning the car. The hand skill was never the constraint. It was never even close. The kid blocking primer in Bay 3 has exactly the same eyes you had at his age. He makes about $15 an hour. His mother's deductible is $500, the same as yours was. He is going to try to fix her bumper in the driveway this weekend to save it. He will wait too long on the clear, and it will run. He will sand it back on Sunday morning with the hose going. You will walk past his stall on Monday, look at the panel, and tell him it is flat. The knee you knelt on in that driveway does not bend the way it used to. Your shoulder tells you the weather now. You would trade none of it to get either one back. The trade rebuilt itself twice while you were standing inside it. Solvent to waterborne, steel to aluminum, hammers to radar targets on a level floor. You kept up every single time it moved, and most of the people you started with did not. Now the shop's certifications carry your name on them. The estimator asks what a job is worth instead of telling you what it pays. The measuring system you learned on is 2 generations old, and it is still bolted to a rack you own outright. Nobody at this level asks you to prove anything anymore. The lot is full before the first customer parks. Somewhere behind you a spray gun starts up, even and steady, and the panel under it belongs to a technician whose name sits on your payroll. The aerosol can from the driveway sits on a shelf above your desk. Empty, capped, with the price sticker still stuck to the side of it. Below it, through the office glass, is the booth you own free and clear.